The people of Earth came to Mars. They came because they were afraid or unafraid, happy or unhappy. There was a reason for each man. They were coming to find something or get something, or to dig up something or bury something. They were coming with small dreams or big dreams or none at all. The first men were few, but the numbers grew steadily. There was comfort in numbers, but the first lonely ones had to stand alone. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury.
To move or turn, click the view screen area corresponding to the direction you want to go. As you move the arrow cursor, it changes its appearance to indicate which way you can move. When the cursor is on the left side of the screen, the arrow will point left. On the right side, it will point right. Left and right arrows indicate a 90-degree turn. When the cursor is in the center of the screen, it will change to an arrow pointing upward to indicate forward motion. Double arrows pointing left and right mean that only a turn is possible. If the motion arrows do not appear in the view screen, clicking the center button below the view screen will usually make them appear. Inside the rocket ship is a device called the toolkit. This device functions as an equipment selection unit as well as an artifact analysis and storage unit. To choose your equipment for the mission, go to the toolkit and click the Equipment Selection option. The toolkit will display the available equipment. Click the name of an item to examine it. If you want to take the item shown, click the Select This Item button. You will see the item move toward you from the open chamber to show you that you are now carrying it. After you have selected an item, you can choose its name to get information, but you will no longer see it on the screen. If you want to put the item back, click the Put This Item Back button. You will see the item move back into the chamber. To activate the mapping tool, click its activating button below the view screen, the furthest button to the left. To turn off the mapping tool, click the button again. Or when you come across views or written information that could be of use to your mission, you can record and transmit an image directly back to the rocket ship. To activate the data recorder, click its activating button below. There is a row of buttons beneath the view screen. When an object in the view screen is interactive or acquirable, throughout the city you will find items that may be critical to the outcome of the mission. Many objects can be revealed or identified on the spot using the scanner. To activate the scanner, click its activating button below the view screen. When you make the hidden menu bar at the top of your screen appear, it offers several features, including saving or pausing your game. To
Well, people have often asked me how long a book like The Martian Chronicles takes to write and how did it all begin. I think these things that go so far back in time a lot of it to when I was a kid. I went absolutely insane for burros when I was a kid. You got to start somewhere as a kid, and that's great stuff. It's great romantic stuff. So the very first thing I wrote when I was 12 was a Martian story about landing on Mars. So actually the Martian Chronicles began when I was 12, and thank God all that material has been lost, because it was what you would expect from a 12-year-old. If the universe is just here and can't be seen, what the hell's the reason for the universe, huh? So we're here. Usher 2, which is in the Martian Chronicles, is one of my favorite stories, and it's a favorite among people who read the book. But a lot of that was provoked by the suppression of the comic magazines. And I became lunatic about it, and I wrote the short story. And I gathered all these suppressors, all these professional psychologists and psychoanalysts who knew everything about life. And I invited them to this party in the story. And then I destroyed them one by one. I stuffed them up a chimney, as in the Rue Morgue. One of the very first stories that was published, it's in the Martian Chronicles, is, I believe, The Million-Year Picnic, that came out. It's the last story in the collection. But a lot of them were published almost simultaneously in the science fiction magazines, and I was paid a penny a word for them. And so I didn't get rich writing the Martian Chronicles. I think World War II influenced a lot in the Martian Chronicles. And I remember I was courting my wife at the time, and the night before the first big experiment out in the Pacific, we both said, what if this is the last night of the world, huh? And which is, of course, where another of my stories came from. And so you go to sleep that night thinking, is this it? Huh? Well, thank God it wasn't. The entire book was then written in a climate of warning, not predicting. Illa is a good example of what happened to me in those years when I was 25, 26 years old. And I wrote the short story, and it was rejected by the various science fiction magazines because it was too different. I sent it to Mademoiselle because I'd begun to sell my fiction to Mademoiselle to charm. And Mademoiselle said, well, we want something more Martian from you. And can't you add some more housekeeping details? So I made up all sorts of wonderful touches for Illa in housekeeping. I'm glad that I did. It improved the story. But I wasn't able to.
Timothy looked at the last thing that Dad tossed in the fire. It was a map of the world, and it wrinkled and distorted itself hotly and went flimsy and was gone like a warm black butterfly. Timothy turned away. Now I'm going to show you the Martians, said Dad. Come on, all of you. Here, Alice. He took her hand. Michael was crying loudly, and Dad picked him up and carried him, and they walked down through the ruins toward the canal. The canal, where tomorrow or the next day their future wives would come up in a boat, small laughing girls now, with their father and mother. The night came down around them, and there were stars. But Timothy couldn't find Earth. It had already set. That was something to think about. A night bird called among the ruins as they walked. They reached the canal. It was long and straight and cool and wet and reflective in the night. I've always wanted to see a Martian, said Michael. Where are they, Dad? You promised. There they are, said Dad, and he shifted Michael on his shoulder and pointed straight down. The Martians were there. Timothy began to shiver. The Martians were there, in the canal, reflected in the water. Timothy and Michael and Robert and Mom and Dad. The Martians stared back up at them for a long, long, silent time from the rippling water. The men of Earth came to Mars. They were coming to find something, or leave something, or get something, to dig up something or bury something, or leave something alone. They were coming with small dreams or large dreams, or none at all. But a government finger pointed from 4-color posters in many towns. "There's work for you in the sky. See Mars." And the men shuffled forward. Only a few at first, a double score. For most men felt the great illness in them even before the rocket fired into space. And this disease was called the loneliness, because when you saw your hometown dwindle the size of your fist, and then lemon size, and then pin size, and vanish in the fire wake, you felt you had never been born. There was no town. You were nowhere, with space all around, nothing familiar, only other strange men. And when the state of Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, or Montana vanished into cloud seas, and doubly when the United States shrank to a misted island, and the entire planet Earth became a muddy baseball tossed away, then you were alone, wandering in the meadows of space, on your way to a place you couldn't imagine. They all came out and looked at the sky that night, and watched the green star of Earth there. It was a move without conscious effort. They all did it, to help them understand the news they had heard on the radio a moment before. There was Earth, and there the coming war. They stood on the porches and tried to believe in the existence of Earth, much as they had once tried to believe in the existence of Mars. It was a problem reversed. To all intents and purposes, Earth now was dead. They had been away from it for 3 or 4 years. Space was an anesthetic. 70 million miles of space numbed you, put memory to sleep, depopulated Earth, erased the past, and allowed these people here to go on with their work. But now, tonight the dead were risen. Earth was re-inhabited. Memory awoke. A million names were spoken. What was so-and-so doing tonight on Earth? What about this one and that one? The people on the porches glanced sideways at each other's faces. At 9 o'clock, Earth seemed to explode, catch fire, and burn. The people on the porches put up their hands as if to beat the fire out. They waited. By midnight, the fire was extinguished. Earth was still there. There was a sigh like an autumn wind from the porches. But nobody moved. Late dinners were carried out into the night lawns and set upon collapsible tables, and they picked at these slowly until 2 o'clock, and the light radio message flashed from Earth. They could read the great Morse code flashes which flickered like a distant firefly. Australian continent atomized in premature explosion of atomic stockpile. Los Angeles, London bombed. War. Come home. Come home. Come home. They stood up from their tables. Come home. Come home. Come home. At 3 in the chilly morning, the luggage store proprietor glanced up. A lot of people were coming down the street. "Stayed open late on purpose. What'll it be, mister?" By dawn, the luggage was gone from his shelf. The rockets set the bony meadows afire, turned rock to lava, turned wood to charcoal, transmitted water to steam, made sand and silica into green glass which lay like shattered mirrors reflecting the invasion all about. The rockets came like drums, beating in the night. The rockets came like locusts, swarming and settling in blooms of rosy smoke. And from the rockets ran men with hammers in their hands to beat the strange world into a shape that was familiar to the eye, to bludgeon away all the strangeness, their mouths fringed with nails so they resembled steel-toothed carnivores, spitting them into their swift hands as they hammered up frame cottages and scuttled over roofs with shingles to blot out the eerie stars and fit green shades to pull against the night. In 6 months, a dozen small towns had been laid down upon the naked planet, filled with sizzling neon tubes and yellow electric bulbs. In all, some 90,000 people came to Mars, and more on Earth were packing their grips.
They came to the strange blue lands and put their names upon the land. Here was Hingston Creek and Lustig Corners and Black River and Driscoll Forest and Peregrine Mountain and Wilder Town. All the names of people and the things that the people did. Here was the place where Martians killed the first Earthmen, and it was Red Town, and had to do with blood. And here where the second expedition was destroyed, and it was named Second Try, and each of the other places where the rocket men had set down their fiery cauldrons to burn the land, the names were left like cinders. The old Martian names were names of water and air and hills. They were the names of snows that emptied south in stone canals to fill the empty seas, and the names of sealed and buried sorcerers, and towers and obelisks. And the rockets struck at the names like hammers, breaking away the marble into shale, shattering the crockery milestones that named the old towns, in the rubble of which great pylons were plunged with new names. And after the towns were built and named, the graveyards were built and named too. But after everything was pinned down and neat and in its place, when everything was safe and certain, when the towns were well enough fixed and the loneliness was at a minimum, then the sophisticates came in from Earth. They came on parties and vacations, on little shopping trips for trinkets and photographs and the atmosphere. They came to study and apply sociological laws. They came with stars and badges and rules and regulations, bringing some of the red tape that had crawled across Earth like an alien weed, and letting it grow on Mars wherever it could take root. They began to plan people's lives and libraries. They began to instruct and push about the very people who had come to Mars to get away from being instructed and ruled and pushed about. And it was inevitable that some of these people pushed back.
January 1999. Rocket Summer. 1 minute it was Ohio winter, with doors closed, windows locked, the panes blind with frost, icicles fringing every roof, children skiing on slopes, housewives lumbering like great black bears in their furs along the icy streets. And then a long wave of warmth crossed the small town, a flooding sea of hot air. It seemed as if someone had left a bakery door open. The heat pulsed among the cottages and bushes and children. The icicles dropped, shattering to melt. The doors flew open. The windows flew up. The children worked off their wool clothes. The housewives shed their bare disguises. The snow dissolved and showed last summer's ancient green lawns. Rocket Summer. The words passed among the people in the open airing houses. Rocket Summer. The warm desert air changed the frost patterns on the windows, erasing the artwork. The skis and sleds suddenly useless. The snow, falling from the cold sky upon the town, turned to a hot rain before it touched the ground. Rocket Summer. People leaned from their dripping porches and watched the reddening sky. The rocket lay on the launching field, blowing out pink clouds of fire and oven heat. The rocket stood in the cold winter morning, making summer with every breath of its mighty exhausts. The rocket made climates, and summer lay for a brief moment upon the land. Mars was a distant shore, and the men spread upon it in waves, each wave different and each wave stronger. The first wave carried with it men accustomed to spaces and coldness and being alone, the coyote and cattlemen, with no fat on them, with faces the years had worn the flesh off, with eyes like nail-heads and hands like the material of old gloves, ready to touch anything. Mars could do nothing to them, for they were bred to plains and prairies as open as the Martian fields. They came and made things a little less empty, so that the others would find courage to follow. They put panes in hollow windows and lights behind the panes. They were the first men. The second men should have traveled from other countries, with other accents and other ideas. But the rockets were American, and the men were American, and it stayed that way, while Europe and Asia and South America and Australia and the islands watched the Roman candles leave them behind. The rest of the world was buried in war or the thoughts of war. So the second men were Americans also, and they came from the cabbage tenements and subways, and they found much rest and vacation in the company of silent men from the tumbleweed states who knew how to use silences. So they filled you up with peace after long years crushed in tubes, tins, and boxes in New York. And among the second men were men who looked, by their eyes, as if they were on their way to God. The people of Earth came to Mars. They came because they were afraid or unafraid, happy or unhappy. There was a reason for each man. They were coming to find something or get something, or to dig up something or bury something. They were coming with small dreams or big dreams or none at all. The first men were few, but the numbers grew steadily. There was comfort in numbers, but the first lonely ones had to stand alone. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury.
I'm General Reynolds, Commander of the Combined Strategic Command. As of 0950, March 19, 2001, the Nathaniel York Institute for Martian Studies has been declared a strategic resource for national security reasons. In compliance with the Emergency War Powers Act, it has been assigned to my command. Your research mission to the Martian city of Z has taken on a new significance in light of these events. We understand that you are investigating Dr. Beckett's theory that certain Martian artifacts referred to in translated texts that were believed to be mere legends are actually real, and that the origin of these texts has been traced to the city of Z. Oddly, Z is the only major Martian site to remain unexplored since the wave of colonization that followed the extinction of the Martians. War appears imminent, the final devastating nuclear holocaust we have always feared and imagined. Our interest is in one of these legends in particular, the tale of an object that newly translated Martian poems describe as the most powerful force known. Since the Martians were telepathic and had other mental powers, perhaps even the ability to alter time, this must be a powerful force indeed. Yet the legends don't appear to refer to a weapon, but rather to some form of Li, translated roughly as the wisdom or technology that can make it easier for large distributed systems such as nations to resolve their differences. As a demonstration of our good intentions, government officials on all sides of the current conflict will be encouraged to monitor the progress of your mission. It has taken on new importance. You must explore the city quite thoroughly, using all the tools at your disposal. Because we don't know exactly what we're looking for and how the Martian environment may respond to your investigation, you should leave the site as undisturbed as possible, so that no clues are damaged. One other thing you must know. 2 other researchers have already attempted your mission. Neither has been heard from since. Watch for signs of their presence or signs of danger from whatever forces may have caused their disappearance. Other unusual events have happened in this area in the past, including the loss of a team of investigators from the Moral Climates Investigation Committee. We have no clues to what happened to them, but we do know they were investigating the activities of one Morris Stendhal. His whereabouts and status are also a mystery. The monitor on your right will display a classified briefing on what we know about these people and the city of Z. I'm sorry, but for this mission we are requiring that you wear a pressure suit and helmet. The atmosphere is tolerable, but we don't want you taking any unnecessary chances. Use the toolkit behind you to select any additional equipment you think you'll need. This concludes your preliminary briefing. You're on your own.
The city of Z is located 1,300 miles from the nearest safe Earth settlement. Colony Beta 3 shuttles used to pass over these coordinates, but have been diverted since the disappearance of 2 explorers 3 months ago. No humans are confirmed alive in the city. Morris Stendhal, an eccentric billionaire outcast from Earth, built a mansion in the city almost a year ago. The mansion was completed, but Stendhal disappeared soon afterward. His disappearance coincided with another unsolved disappearance, that of Colonel Jeffrey Spender's second expedition. Spender killed the crew of his mission craft and then disappeared. He was last seen heading towards Z. He is armed and dangerous and is assumed responsible for the disappearance of Stendhal. Another colonist, Sam Elliott, opened the trading post in Z shortly after the completion of Stendhal's mansion. Elliott abandoned his store when a series of unexplained incidents in the area caused traffic to bypass the city for a more reliable route. The nature of these incidents remain unknown because individuals affected have been unwilling to report details, but they seem to involve accidents with no apparent causes, mysterious sightings, hallucinations, and unaccounted for lapses of time. The Martians were known to be capable of telepathy and telepathic projection. They had the ability to project into human minds convincing illusions or apparitions. Although the Martians are gone, vestiges of such illusory images may remain. If the reality of any object or perceived view is in question, use the scanner device to view instead. The scanner can see through Martian telepathic projections to reveal the true nature of what you are viewing. The projected map shows the coordinates of the buildings known to exist in the city area. None of the buildings has been successfully explored. Their interiors are known to be fragile due to their extreme age and erosion. This concludes Level 3 Classified Briefing 13 on the Martian city of Z. All data recordings of your mission will be relayed direct to Mission Control as they are transmitted. Command will maintain an active matrix link with your position to notify you of incoming transmissions. When you are warned of an incoming transmission, return to the rocket for briefing.
January 1999. Rocket Summer. The rockets set the bony Mars was a distant shore, and the men spread upon it in waves, each wave different and each wave stronger. The first wave carried with it men accustomed to
I'm General Reynolds, Commander of the Combined Strategic Command. As of 0950, March 19th.
January The rock.
There you are. Thank God I found you. I was afraid we'd lost another explorer. We've been trying to reach your ship. Is anything wrong with it? Is the mission going well? I've been on Mars for several days. We've been retransmitting your briefings off of a satellite to make it appear as though they come from Earth. A security measure. I'm here to check up on you. We need to make progress on your mission, and I was afraid you'd been lost too. So please brief me on what you've learned. How many of these fragments have you found? You must tell me what you know. I'll kill you. We've studied your progress and the information you've recorded. The fragment you found appears to bear an inscription. A similar type of crystal was recorded by the exploration team that preceded you, shortly before their disappearance. We have been able to translate two glyphs, archived and lost. The Martian legend concerning the most powerful force known states that it is hidden in an archive safe from the dust of time. Your ship's toolkit incorporates our best Martian translation programs. The recovery, combination, and translation of any additional fragments could prove vital to the completion of your mission.
Hold it right there.
You're from Earth?
And what is it you've come to explore this time? Leave it alone. Leave this whole place alone. It's sacred. Get back to your ship now and get out. Leave right now, or I'll have to force you.
Mars was a distant